Good morning, everybody. We'll let everybody get into the webinar. I appreciate you taking time today to join us and Eli Adams for this amazing webinar on search engine optimization. We'll take just a couple of minutes and let folks get into the room. And we, as your presenters today, are fully taking advantage of remote technology. I'm located now in Sacramento, California. Kimberly is coming to us live and in person from Chicago, Illinois, and Eli is from outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. That is the amazing thing about being able to do these webinars online. Great, so we'll get started. Some more people will be joining us. We're really fortunate today to have with us Eli Adams. He's going to be talking to us about search engine optimization. Eli's got an extensive background in digital and online marketing, and you'll see that in action today. Eli, could you go ahead and pop up the slideshow for me? Perfect. So Kimberly Vattel, my colleague, and I are with the World Trade Center in Northern California, and that tagline, "We make trade easier," is really what we're about. We are very pleased to be an affiliate of the Northern California SBDC. They are our funding partner that have enabled us to put together a series of online training sessions, as well as one-on-one advising to help small businesses be successful in doing e-commerce or international trade. And today is one of those sessions. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll go to that next slide. So just a little bit of background about the World Trade Center. So who we are, we're based in Sacramento, but we are an affiliate of the SBDC, or Small Business Development Center. And we help small businesses, small and mid-sized businesses in the 36 Northern California counties. And we're also a member of the World Trade Center Association. World Trade Center Association has over 300 members in 90 plus countries around the world, and everybody's really dedicated to helping businesses be successful in international trade. What we do is we're really a technical assistance program, and we help small businesses and mid-sized businesses be successful really in three areas: international trade, what I call exporter or cross-border e-commerce. And that's where you buy something online, but it gets shipped to you from Canada or Mexico or India or China. You know, it's an exploding part of online business in the last few years, certainly driven by COVID. And then also we do a lot in the world of e-commerce. And so we really are a technical assistance program focused on those three main areas. And we do it by providing education sessions like today, resources. And after the session today, we're going to send out a resource guide on search engine optimization that Eli has put together. And then we can also take and connect you to trade ecosystem partners if you need help. We have an extensive network of partners and experts that we can bring to the table to help people with their businesses. And so today, this session is being recorded. We will send out a link to the video afterwards. And what we'll do is I'd like to ask you to hold all of your questions till the end. You can actually go ahead and put them into the Q&A or into the chat. What we'll do is we'll let Eli get through his content, and then we'll answer all of those at the end. So once again, today, our presenter, Eli Adams, as I mentioned, Eli's got over 16 years of experience in a variety of firms, from small local retail operations to global e-commerce organizations, and he brings an extensive knowledge and depth in digital marketing and e-commerce to the table. And with that, we'll turn it over to Eli.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin and Kimberly, for allowing me to take this opportunity and be a part of this. I think this is a fun group. I think that this hopefully I'll be able to add some value to everybody here on this webinar. But so my background is SEO and digital marketing. SEO is more of my strength. I do a lot of other pieces of digital marketing, but I'm excited to talk specifically about SEO today. So there's a lot of stuff. SEO is not really super hard, but there is a lot of stuff you need to know about it. So when I go over this today, I will try to go as deep and slash high level as possible so that we can make sure and get through all the content, leave some time for questions at the end. Let me tell you about myself a little bit first. So again, my name is Eli Adams. I live here in Utah, a little town called Saratoga Springs. And I grew up in a really small town of like 200 people in central Utah. And digital wasn't a big part of my life growing up until into high school. I built my first website when I was, in 1998, I built my first website. My first e-commerce website was in 2002, where I had some connections. I lived in Peru for a couple of years, and I had some connections out there who would send me merchandise. I would put them on a website, and then I would do the SEO, and I would sell the merchandise. I would send back money to Peru, and then they would send me more. And that was kind of my first dive into e-commerce. So about the last 8 years, I've been working for a multi-billion-dollar company that is an international company. And so my team, we were over digital experience. So that was all digital marketing. So SEO, paid ads, paid social, email marketing, anything digital, we were over, as well as digital product management, digital project management. And most of those 8 years were specific to the e-commerce side. And so we supported over 80 different countries, something like 17 different languages, 45 different websites. And it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And about 6 months ago, I decided to take the leap and do my own thing. And now I'm starting my own agency, and it's fun to do a lot of consulting gigs and work with great people like Kevin and Kimberly. So that's a little bit of background of who I am, a little bit of my experience. So with that, let's dive into sort of what we're going to go through today. So this session breakdown, we're going to go over 4 different topics, different areas around SEO. We're going to go over the current SEO landscape. We're going to go over the future SEO landscape. We'll go over some SEO fundamentals, which that section is really jam-packed. And I'll go as deep as I possibly can with the time that we have. As Kevin said, though, we do have a second follow-up where we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about those fundamentals, and specifically cross-border and international. And then we'll wrap it up by talking about how we measure SEO success and different tools that you can use to see how you're doing and how you can do better. So let's dive in a little bit. I'm not sure of the participants who are here today. I'm not sure what level of SEO you feel like your knowledge is at, but let's start sort of at the basic, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper. So what is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. Simply put, SEO is about adjusting your website so it shows up higher in search results when people look for what you offer online. So when you go to Google or Yahoo, Bing, whatever search engine you use, and you type something in, at the very top there is usually a sponsored section or a paid ad section. Right below that, everything below that is what happens with SEO. It's called the organic search section. And so with SEO, you optimize your website, both on your website as well as off your website. We'll dig into what that means, so that you rank higher for the specific keywords that you want to rank for. So let's say, for example, you start a financial business and you want to rank for the word finance. You're going to optimize your website around the word finance so that when people type in finance, now it's a little specific because finance really isn't a product or service. So we'd probably have it extend a little bit bigger than just finance. But the idea is that eventually your website would rank when people type in finance. You see the little spiders, above my graphic here. I'll explain what spiders and crawlers are here in a little bit. But the search engines, basically, they take their digital spiders, they crawl the whole entire internet, your website. They understand, based on the SEO that you put into your website, what it is you're trying to rank for. So that's sort of high level what SEO is. Okay, so why do you need to focus on SEO? A lot of companies I work for, they're like, well, let's just do some paid ads because it's real quick, it's upfront, and you can tell if there is a return on investment. Where SEO is sort of a long game. It does take a little bit longer to get going, but once it does get going and you have that momentum, it does drive a good amount more, I guess, depending on the industry you're in and the type of product and service you have. But in most cases, in my past experience with the clients that I've worked for, SEO has driven the majority of the traffic and the majority of the conversion. So a couple of stats around SEO where we're at right now today. 3.5 billion searches happen on Google every single day. 68% of online experiences begin with search engines like Google. So Yahoo, Bing, there's a lot of different search engines, DuckDuckGo, there's all sorts. That's just like the United States. Outside the United States, there's quite a bit more as well. 76% of people who search for a local business online visit a related business within the next 24 hours. So if you're a doctor, lawyer, dentist, anything where you have a product or a service that makes people go to your location, you have to understand that if you're not ranking, you're missing out big time, right? Because, based on these stats, 76% of people who search for a local business end up going to either that business or something similar within the next 24 hours. So it really benefits you quite a bit to rank really well for your local business. And then the top 3 Google organic search results get 54.4% of all clicks. So you can rank, you can be indexed in Google and you can be on page 2, 3, 4, or whatever. But think to yourself, when's the last time you went and did an organic search? When's the last time you went to Google, typed something in, and ended up going to the second page? I honestly can't think of the last time I went to the second page of Google to look for something. I would just, if I searched for something and it didn't give me what I wanted, I would search in a different way. And usually within the top 3 results, those are the ones that I end up clicking. In fact, one of the jokes in the SEO world is there's the best place to hide a dead body is on second page of Google, because nobody ever goes there, right? Okay, so what does the future of SEO look like? So a lot of people might be saying, well, there's a lot of, there's social media, there's paid ads, there's email marketing, there's all these other ways that you can grow your business. So should I focus on SEO? So in 2021, companies spent over $52 billion in their SEO efforts. Now that's paying agencies, that's paying in-house people, hiring people to do their SEO. That's $52 billion for that. It's projected that by 2030, so really just about 7 years away, that number is going to be $222 billion. So there's the competition that is growing online is so big that if you don't keep up with it right now, 3, 5, 10 years from now, you're going to be so far behind the game that you probably won't even be able to catch up. So as I said, SEO is a really long game. So SEO is like a marathon. If you're not constantly running and keeping pace with others, you'll find yourself miles behind, struggling to catch up in a race that rewards the steadfast and the strategic. So SEO, even though it does take some time, you do need to start working on it now so that in the future you can reap those benefits and you're that much further ahead of your competition. The competition that exists right now, as well as the competition that's going to exist in the future, you're going to have that leg up, and you're always going to be winning that competition as long as it's slow and steady wins the race. Okay, so SEO has evolved over time. When I got into SEO, 15 plus years ago, you see I have old tactics for SEO. You could build a quick website, you could write a blog post, and you could keyword stuff that blog post. So we'll talk about keywords here, and I think on the next slide. But basically what you would do is if you would want to rank for finance, you would write a blog post and you would have the word finance on that page 100 times. And then Google has those crawlers and those spiders, and they would go to your page and they would crawl it and they would say, this word, this page talks about finance 100 times. It must be authoritative for finance, and then you'd be able to rank, right? Well, Google saw people manipulating that, and they said, okay, it can't be just around how many keywords are on a page. It has to be the context of the page. It has to be the context of the content on the page. It has to answer questions that people are looking for and have a better user experience than just having words on a page. Another way they would do it is low quality link building. And so they would go to blog posts. There were a lot of link farms and link networks where you could pay people to write a 150 word article, which how many times have you ever gone to the internet and read a 150 word article? It's just not enough to answer the question that you're looking for. So they'd write a 150 word article, they'd put a link in it, and they'd send it back to your website. And then when Google would go crawl the internet, they'd say, oh, this one page that has 100 finance words on it, and you have 100 links pointing to it from other websites, that validates that this is authoritative and it should rank. So Google got smarter. They saw people manipulating that and they changed it. Some of the newer tactics now is it's more based on user experience, the quality of the content, and the technical SEO. So the user experience really is if you go to Google and you type in a question, they go to your website and they get that question answered, you're doing well for SEO, right? The quality of content, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's written by AI or by a professional. Like most content that is readable by a fifth grader will work as long as it answers that question. And then the technical part of SEO is how fast your site loads, is it mobile friendly, and is it crawlable, which we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So again, back to the SEO fundamentals, the fundamentals that we had back in the day that we still have today, you have to build your foundation on these fundamentals, and then you can build upon that first. If you don't have your foundation or your fundamentals, then your website, you could go and you could do keywords, and you could go and you could do link building and all this. But if you don't have those fundamentals taken care of, your website long term is probably going to get caught up in one of Google's algorithm. It's going to get de-indexed, it's going to get de-ranked, something like that. So we're going to go over keyword research, site structure, on-page SEO, which means on your website, what can you do? And then off-page SEO is social media and other blog posts and news articles and local citations and stuff like that. So we'll dig into that. And if you see me talking really fast, it's because we have a lot of content to go over. So hopefully this is okay. You can, if I'm going too fast, take a screenshot. You can always come back to the recording. But I do want to add as much value as I possibly can and get through all of the slides. So that is why I'm trying to speak real fast. Okay, so the first one is keyword research. So now you can go and you can build a website around finance, around whatever. On this screenshot, I have a personal website that is outdoorsurvivalgear.com, and I have blogs about 55-gallon drums and how to clean them and how to store water long term and stuff like that. So here's my keyword research for that. Like I could just go and write a bunch of blog posts based on what I think, but if nobody's actually searching for those, it doesn't matter. It's indexed in Google, but no one's ever going to search for it. No one's ever going to come to the website. So a lot of times I'll meet with like chiropractors or doctors or dentists, and they'll be like, I want to rank for this word. I'll be like, okay, we can rank you for that word. But based on some of these tools, like Google. So yeah, you can see the free tools here, and then the paid tools, Google Keyword Planner, which is what the screenshot is over here on the right. Uber Suggest, and then some of the paid ones are semrush.com, Ahrefs, and moz.com. They have tools that show you how many times people are searching for those words. So even if you think as the dentist that you need to rank for cavity, it may not be relevant to getting clients, right? Maybe something more specific like how does a dentist fix a cavity, right? Something like that would direct people to your website, as opposed to how do I fix my own cavity, which keeps people from going to your website. So the idea is, if you look at the screenshot, you can see 55-gallon drums. People search that between 1,000 and 10,000 times per month. The next one, how to clean 55-gallon barrels, only gets 10 to 100 searches a month. Water storage, 1 to 10,000 a month. So I look at this and I say, okay, I go and search some of these keywords on Google, and I look, what's the competition? If the competition is something like a government website, or a bigger company like Cabela's, I'm probably not ever going to outrank them. So I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to look at different keywords that have less difficulty and still have search volume when I go and I write that blog post or write the article, and I try to rank for that, right? So what I recommend doing your keyword research is use one of these tools. You'll go and look at the keywords that you think you want, and then down below you see the keyword ideas. These are other ideas that Google is saying, these are similar to what you searched for. Maybe consider using some of these instead, right? And that works for all of those tools. You can go and to any of those tools, and you can get keyword ideas. Now, once you have keyword ideas, then I have a pro tip here at the bottom where you can use AI, so ChatGPT, for example, to brainstorm other keyword ideas. So what you do is you take the keywords that have search volume, you can go to AI and you can say, here are the ones that have search volume, give me other similar keywords, right? Or put these keywords into questions for me. So not just 55-gallon barrels, but how do I clean 55-gallon barrels, right? And then you can go to a place like the people always ask section in Google. So if you type in Google a specific question, right below that, you'll usually say people always ask, where you can click and it drops down a different question. So I would go and I would look at that, or I would go to answerthepublic.com, where you can put in a keyword and it spits out this beautiful like round visual that gives you all of the how, what, when, where, and why questions around that keyword. Then you look at those and you go and you grab the a how question, and you'll go and you'll optimize your website for that how, or you'll write a new blog post or an article about that how, right? And so eventually you're going to go through and you're going to answer the who, what, when, where, and why, and how for all of the keywords you want to rank for. And that's just a little tip. Once you have your keywords, that's how you take it to the next level and get different ideas on the questions. Okay, so let's jump into site structure. So when you build your website, Google has these crawlers where they go top to bottom and left to right. So the spiders or crawlers or bots, you'll hear all three different versions. They'll go to the homepage, and then as they go down, they'll hit the navigation, and one bot will crawl the navigation, another bot will crawl the homepage. And if on the homepage you have a link to another page, another bot will crawl that and go to the other one, and it'll in the homepage bot will still continue to do the homepage, right? And so I have this sort of pyramid graph where if you're laying out your website, you need to lay it out in a way that's really easy for Google. And so finance is the one that we just talked about. If you want to rank for finance, then finance should be your main focus on your homepage. But below finance, you have your savings and your debt, and there's multiple different categories of finance, right? But then under your debt, you have multiple different categories: home loan, student loan, consumer debt, and there's a bunch more. And then under home loan, you have your conventional, FHA, VA, all of those, right? So if you're just starting and you're building a website, you want to start with the lowest one first, which is what we call long-term keywords or long-tail keywords. So you start with that lowest one first, and you write all your blog posts or your landing pages for those. And then you go to the next one for all of that home loans, student loans, consumer debt. And then you go to the next one and you do your debt and your savings. And then you're finally to the top with finance. And if you structure your website in that way, one, you're making sure that you cover all categories that you need to. But two, when the bots go and crawl it, it really makes sense to them. They look at it and they're like, finance, okay, debt, savings, okay, home loans, student loans. And so you sort of create this pyramid. And you need to make sure that everything is linked. I have that little purple piece up at the top right that says orphan page. If you have a page that's not linked in that pyramid, it's considered an orphan page, and there's no internal links, and it's really hard for Google to find that, crawl it, and index it. So if you have a link to it, whether it's in your navigation, whether it's in your categories or your tags, or link to one of your main landing pages, then it's not an orphan page, and it's really easy for Google to crawl. Okay. Okay, so on-page SEO. This is a really busy. It's a really busy visual here, but let me kind of give you some context of what we're talking about. So on page, let's go over on the right-hand side first. We're going to go over the visual. Like I said, Google goes top to bottom, left to right. So when they're looking for your SEO and they're looking for your keywords, they're going to look first in your meta title, and then they're going to look in your URL. Then they're going to look in your meta description. Then they're going to look at your H1. They're going to look at your image. They're going to look at your H2. They're going to look at the body content, and then all the way down, right? And so it's sort of structured in a way that is the most important at the top, least important at the bottom. So when you start your very first paragraph, it has to mention the keyword. It has to almost answer the question that they came here for, and then intrigue them enough to keep going down the page. So now let's go over some of the stuff on the left-hand side of this page. So content creation and optimization. High quality and relevant content is so important these days. You don't just go and write a blog post or a landing page that has like 300 words on it. You need to answer the question. Like, it doesn't matter how many words it is, as long as you answer the question and add the value, that the people are looking for that are searching for your product or service. So just a quick stat, the average first page result on Google consists of 1,447 words. Now, that doesn't mean you have to write 1,500 words every single page. Sometimes it could be 500 words. Sometimes it could be 4,000 words. You just have to add the value and answer the question, right? It's just saying that the average is about 1,500. And then your keyword optimization strategy. So once you go and do your keyword research, like we just talked about, then you go and you optimize the page just like this. It needs to be in your meta title. It needs to be in your URL. It needs to be in your meta description, your H1, so on and so forth, all the way down. Then you structure your content for readability and engagement. That's why we have H1s or heading tags. You have your H1, then your H2, then your H3, H4, H5, right? And so basically your H1 is sort of your main category, main purpose. H2 is like, if you think of like an indent to that, right? And so, and H2 for finance, if we go back to here, your H2 would be debt, your H3 would be your home loan, your H4 would be your conventional loan. So if you're writing a blog post and you want to tackle all of those on a blog post, just remember that's the structure of those pages. And then there's optimization within the image. You need to make sure that your image has, an image alt tag or is localized if you're a local business. I hope I'm not overwhelming everybody. I'm hoping that some of you have, a sort of basis on SEO, because some of this might go right over your heads. Hopefully it doesn't. Come back and watch this, do some Googling to figure out what, if you don't understand what a heading 1 tag is, then, go do some research on that, or hit us up later and we're happy to answer those questions here at the end or later on. But okay, so let's keep going. So internal linking is basically one link to another link on your same page. So if I'm writing my content about how to clean out a plastic water barrel, and within there I talk about using bleach to do that, and I have another blog post that talks about what type of bleach to use and what amount of bleach to use per gallon and all sorts of things, and I would link to that page, and that would be considered an internal link, which is helpful for the reader. If they want more information, they can do that. And then time on site, again, if you have more content and it's valuable content, people are going to be reading 4 to 5 minutes of a blog post. The higher time on site, the more Google likes it. If you go from Google to the website and you stay on that website for 10, 20 minutes and you're searching all around, Google likes that, and they're going to rank your website a little bit higher for that. Okay, so then technical SEO, the site structure and navigation we went over on the last slide, your URL optimization, which I just talked about here, your site speed. So conversion rates are 3 times higher for websites that load in 1 second than the ones that load in 5 seconds. So you need to make sure that your site speed is very fast. If it's not very fast, if it's not 1 second or really close to it, work with your dev manager or your IT person and see what can be done. Maybe it's hosting, maybe it's the server side, maybe it's your images are too big and you need to shrink them, or you need to optimize them, or you need to compress them. There's a lot of different things. Maybe you have too much JavaScript loading on a page or too many pop-ups. There's a lot of things that can slow down your website. And so get with your IT person or your hosting person and figure out why it's loading so slow. 53% of mobile website visitors will leave your site if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. So you go to Google, you find exactly what you want, you see your title and meta there, and you're like, this is going to answer my question. If I click on it and it loads and it loads and it loads, I'm going to bounce. If it takes more than 3 seconds, 53% of people are going to bounce. They're going to go and look for a different website. So make sure your site speed is fast. Language and region specific pages. We'll go more in depth on this, but there's a thing called href lang tags. There's canonical tags where you have, so just sort of a quick overview of what we're going to dive deep into in the next one is you have your main pages in the United States or wherever you are locally, your main pages are going to be there. And then you're going to have, let's say, a page about student loans here. And then we're going to have one in Mexico that's basically a translation in Mexico, you need to have what's called an href link tag telling Google this is not duplicate content. There's an English, there's a Spanish, and I'm telling you it's the same thing. It's just for that region. It's just for Mexico or whatever country we're working on. We'll go into that a little bit deeper in the next one as well. Mobile friendliness. So it was about 4 or 5 years ago where we had it was called Mobile Geddon, where the amount of people who search for websites on a desktop versus on mobile sort of crossed, and now it's like 70+% of people use mobile for all searches versus desktop. So you need to make sure that your website is very mobile friendly. 51% of the internet users access the internet using only their smartphones. That's crazy, because 5 years ago that was not the case. 59% of all worldwide internet traffic comes from mobile devices. I know in Asia Pacific, they don't have desktops, they don't have laptops, they only use their phone. And I think that in the United States, it's sort of the younger generation is doing that more and more. They only have desktops or laptops if their work requires it. Other than that, they'll do everything on their phone. So, okay, that was a lot for on page. Let's keep going so we can keep our time. Okay, off-page SEO. So this is a little bit more difficult to do. The on-page SEO stuff, I can train you how to do it, or you can go to YouTube and you can learn how to do that. Depending on what type of site you have, it's fairly easy to go do keyword research and to go figure out where your title and meta is, and to figure out how to add a new blog post or a new article. The off-page SEO is a little more difficult. So it takes a different strategy. I shouldn't say it's more difficult. It's just a different strategy. So getting your website linked to from different websites shows Google that it's sort of like a popularity contest. If you remember you're in high school, the more friends you have, the more popular you were, right? So in the search engines, the more links you have outside pointing to your website, the more popular you are, and Google looks at that and they rank you higher for that. So link building, guest blog posting, which is where you go to a website and say, hey, I have a website around finance. It looks like you do too. We're not competing. You talk about long-term savings. We talk about debt. Do you mind if I write a blog post and give it to you for free? You can publish it as long as there's a link back to my website. So it takes time and there's strategy to make that happen, but that's one other way that you can get links back to your website. There's also social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those that can send traffic to your website. There's a whole strategy around social media to get people to come to your website versus staying on social media. Local citations are, for example, if you go to Google and search local dentist or dentist near me, in Google, it'll have their address. In Yelp, it'll have their address. In all of these different all these different websites that have the localization is called a local citation. So you need to make sure that your address is in a bunch of these, so no matter where people are searching, they can find you. But then also when Google crawls them, they see your website's over here, your website's over there, and they link all back to your website. And that is a signal to Google to rank you higher in those local search results. And then there's also news articles. So you can go to your local news station and say, hey, we have this new product that's coming out. Would you mind writing about us? Or we're our philanthropy side of things is doing X. Do you mind writing about us? And if they're willing to do it, they'll do a news article and they'll link back to you, and that helps as well. So that's all off-page SEO, which does take a little bit more time, but if you do it right, it does have some really, really positive impacts in getting you ranking pretty well for the keywords that you're looking for. Okay, so then advanced SEO, 4 different categories in advanced SEO. There's user experience. And if I were to step back and say, if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this training, forget about the title, the meta, the keyword research, all of that. If you have a great user experience, there's a really good chance that Google's going to rank you pretty well, right? It might take a little bit more time if you're not optimized for SEO, but if it's a really good user experience, it adds value, it answers the question, there's a really good chance that you're going to rank for what you want to rank for. So user experience, so the core of your website vitals, making sure your speed is good, making sure your user engagement is good, making sure you're mobile friendly, all of that's up to par. That's number one. Number two, local SEO, so optimizing for local map searches, importance of local citations, which we just talked about, Google My Business optimization, at least in the United States, that's probably your number one. That's where you're going to get the most traffic. And then there is a schema.org markup, and you can use schema. It's a code specifically. And there's thousands of pieces of code you can use for schema, but specifically for local SEO, what it does is on your website where you have your name, your address, your phone number, all of that. Instead of just having your name, address, phone number in text and having Google go and guess that's what it is, what Schema does is it's a code that wraps it and says business name equals here's your business name. Phone number equals here's your phone number. Address or street address equals this. State is this. City is this. Zip code is this. And it really lays it out so when Google crawls it, they know that it is for sure an address for a local business. And it's very clear to Google if you use that. Then the international SEO, we talked about the href lang. Lang means language. So the language tags, the canonical tags, the core page optimization. So for example, if you have a really good corporate website and you have like your CEO and all of your leadership on one page, that page worked probably internationally. So we're going to make that a core page. You don't have to have a different page in each country or each region. You just have a core page, right? Your contact us page could be a core page. And then let's see, core page optimization and then localization, depending on what country you're in. If you're in, you're going to do the same stuff that I talked about right above, you're going to do here. You're also going to do that in Mexico or in Canada or the other countries that you're in. So there's still that localization for those different regions. And then the website structure that we talked about already. Voice search optimization has been pretty big in the past, and it's only getting bigger, and especially with AI coming into play. So you need to make sure that your website is optimized well. So if somebody is doing a voice search on Alexa, on Siri, on Google, on any of those, your website is optimized well enough for any of those devices to pull it up and say, here's the answer you're looking for. Right. If you remember the last time you went to Alexa and said, hey, what's the tallest building in the world? Right. It usually says, based on this website, this is the tallest and this is number 2, number 3, number 4. Right. So optimizing for voice search is a really good long-term play as well. Using AI to help for SEO. So I'm not going to go through each one of these individually, but all of the pictures that you've seen, I don't know if you can tell, but they're all AI generated, which is kind of cool. I went through a couple different iterations to get the ones that I wanted, but you can use it for content creation. You can use it for keyword research. You can use it for personalization, search intent analysis. A lot of times when I use, like you can take a screenshot of this and read through all of them, but a lot of times when I get a new client, what I'll do is I'll go and use a tool called Screaming Frog. I'll crawl the whole entire website of the new client. I'll export all of the titles for every single page, and then I'll put them into something like ChatGPT and say, organize these, tell me what's unique about them, what's the tone. If I were to write more about it, give me new examples, new ideas, and ChatGPT spits out just tables and tables and tables of new information that I could use to optimize the website based on what they currently have. So it's kind of looking at the low-hanging fruit where you go and look at a website that's well established, you grab what they're doing well, you can use tools like AI, ChatGPT, there's a few others that you can use to help sort of the brainstorming, getting into the taking it to the next level. So I'd really recommend that you look into AI. There is a bonus in the email that's or the handout that's going to go out. I can't remember. There's like 10 or so different ChatGPT prompts that you can use for SEO, where you just copy and paste the prompt and then fill in your product, your service, your business name, and it will spit out a bunch of keywords or a bunch of ideas as well. So look for that in the handout. Hopefully that's fun to play with. If you haven't played with it already, a lot of the tools are free. Go play with it. It's amazing. These pictures, by the way, all came from ChatGPT's DALL-E 3. So I think you have to have the paid version for that. It's $20 a month, and you can create as much as you want. There's so many fun things that you've done. I'll give you one quick example. I know we're running out of time, but I'll give you one fun example that doesn't really have to do with SEO, but you should use it for DALL-E. I have a family crest that I uploaded to ChatGPT, and it analyzed it. And I said, give me a prompt to put into DALL-E to make this more lifelike. And ChatGPT, the regular version, gave me a prompt that I copied and pasted into DALL-E, and it spit out the most beautiful version of my family crest that I'm actually gonna probably print out and put up on this wall. Either way, that's kind of a fun thing to do. You can use it for SEO as well. But look into it if you haven't already. Okay, tools to measure your SEO success. So once you're optimized, or if you already have a website and you don't know where to start, you should go dig into some of these tools. Some of my favorite tools: Google Search Console, that's the one that I show here on the right, Google Analytics, SEMrush, Screaming Frog, some that are more, they're paid. But I also recommend, and you don't need all of these, like really go and grab like 1, 2, or 3 of them that are free and use them. So Screaming Frog, for example, will crawl up to 500 pages. If your website is bigger than 500 pages, you have to pay for it. So if it's smaller, use Screaming Frog. It's a good free option. But you need to understand that SEO is data-based. Like if you're looking at your data and saying, why do I have, for example, this is my outdoor survival gear website. I have 141,000 impressions, which means people found me on Google and saw my website on Google, and only 1,920 or something like that actually clicked to my website. So I can go through this tool and I can look individually based on the keyword they typed in, based on the page that they went to, and I can re-optimize those pages to rank better or to be more clickable. I can, if I'm ranking really well, if I'm ranking number 1, but people aren't clicking, 1, it's either the intent is wrong, or 2, my title and meta description that's showing up in Google, it needs to be tweaked in a way to get people to actually click on it, right? And I'm telling you right now, that is the best low-hanging fruit trick that you can do if you currently have a website. Make sure you're on Google Search Console. Go and look at what pages are ranking that are getting tons of impressions and not very many clicks, and you'll be able to optimize for the different keywords or tweak the title and meta, and your clicks are going to skyrocket for those pages. So a lot of SEO is sort of originates through a gut feeling. Hey, I should write a blog post about this, or I should I should do a landing page for this. But then after you write that blog post or the article or the landing page, you need data to show if it's working or not. And maybe it's has the best of intentions, but it needs to be tweaked. The keyword needs to be tweaked, or the title and meta needs to be tweaked, or the content's not in depth enough, or not answering the question. So use these tools, especially the free ones. Google Search Console is free, and it's one of my favorite tools. So check it out if you haven't already. Okay, so that's it. If you want to get in touch with me, my company is fireusmarketing.com. Real quick, let me explain why it's called fireusmarketing.com. It's because I'm also a trainer. I do a podcast like this. I do webinars like this. I do podcasts. The idea is, if you want me to train you to take over your digital marketing, I'll train you so you can fire me. If you want me to just do it, I'll just do it for you. But the idea is I'm here to hopefully let you see light at the end of the tunnel. So most of my social media accounts are at The Real Eli Adams. If you want to get in contact through email, it's eadams@fireusmarketing.com. And thank you. I think we're going to questions, right, Kevin?
Yeah, Eli, that was fabulous. Right. I mean, I don't know if you could see the reactions that were coming through during your presentation, but people like the content and they like what you're doing for us.
Nice.
I just want to say, this is amazing, and this is exactly what the World Trade Center is really dedicated to: is to bring content like this to help businesses. So we've got quite a few questions. Let's go through them fairly quickly. Ruth asked, will the SEO help blogs, as I also do marketing on my blog?
100%. Yep. The screenshots that I showed were from my outdoor survival gear blog. So I have outdoorsurvivalgear.com, and the majority of it are just blogs answering questions about long-term food storage, long-term water storage. What tools should I take when I go camping? So anything that you blog about, if you want traffic from search engines like Google, you should use SEO 100%.
Great. Another one from McKenna. What are the keywords that cost money, and are you only allowed to use them for a limited time?
Okay, so the difference between the ones that cost money and what I'm talking about it's called pay-per-click or PPC. So when I was going over the keyword research, you saw the keywords that had the money. In fact, we can just go back there to show you real quick. This is a paid advertising tool that also shows traffic. So you can see right here, it does show money, and it shows an average low bid and an average high bid. What that means is if I want to do paid advertising to get people to my blog post around 55-gallon barrels, then I'll write a little ad. It'll go on Google, and if somebody clicks on it, it'll charge me somewhere between 26 cents and $2.27, right? But so what I look at, I wouldn't do it for a blog post like this, but if I had a product on there, say for example, okay, we've used dentists quite a bit. So if I were a dentist and I specialized in veneers, right? I would write a blog post or an article or a landing page about veneers, and then I would send paid traffic to it, knowing that each click is going to cost me cents or dollars. But every time I get a client from that, I'm going to make $10,000. So I'm willing to spend $1,000 in paid advertising if I'm going to make $10,000 on one conversion, right? And so you kind of have to judge based on how much it costs. There's in law firms, they're $10, $20, $30, $40 per click, but one case could make them $100,000, right? So that's the difference. It's just an example in the tool, but what I use for SEO is the average search volume specifically for SEO. You do not have to do paid ads. It is an option, and it does kind of show you difficulty levels. If this is a higher dollar amount, it usually means that is a higher there's more people competing for that, and it might take a little bit longer to rank for it.
Great, thank you. Next question is for new companies. Is a website with everything on one homepage better than having multiple pages for SEO? In other words, I think the question is that they're just building a website. Is it better to have a homepage that really has a lot of content, or to go ahead and structure multiple pages into link?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer two different ways. So if you're a company that sells one product and you want to build just like a funnel page, that's okay. If you want to talk about multiple aspects of the product, multiple benefits of the product, or you have multiple products, you need multiple pages. So having it all on one page only makes sense if you're going to sell one blue widget, and you can get all the content on there that you want and multiple calls to actions, and it's a funnel that gets people into your email marketing and your social media and all that. But if you want SEO, the bigger the website, and not just like fluff, like it has to be quality content, but the bigger the website, the more chances are you're going to rank for something and get more traffic to your website. So if you have 10,000 blog posts versus 100 blog posts and all 10,000 add value, you're going to beat the company that has 100 blog posts by far.
Great. Rashawn asked the question. So Rashawn, I'll answer this. Where do I find the sites that Eli was referencing? We're going to be sending out within the next day. What we're going to do is the video is going to be taken and posted online. Once it is up on our YouTube channel, we'll be sending out a follow-up email, and there's going to be a reference document that Eli has created for everybody, and he'll have a lot of the information about some of these sites and the tools that he has talked about today. Next question is from Martina. How do you balance the way that the bots crawl a site structure versus the information architecture from user research, i.e. card sorting, etc.? Like, is there a case where the way your users navigate the website is detrimental to the bot's logic?
No, you should focus based on user experience first. Don't focus based on the bots. Focus on what's best for the user, and the bots will be able to crawl it. Like Google has advanced so much in their crawlability that you can have an orphan page and they'll still find it and they'll still index it. It just takes a little bit longer. So I wouldn't optimize your website based on, if you're starting brand new and you don't know what the user needs, do it based on that pyramid for the bots. But if you already have a website, you don't need to go and like reshuffle it if it's working for your people. Do it based on user experience first and foremost.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet and talk with Martina yesterday, and she's a UI UX person that's just moved to the Bay Area. So good luck to you,
Yeah, so,
Martina.
yeah, UX UI people. I mean, you probably know this more than me. Like you're all about user experience. You are really good at that. Keep doing that. That's what's best for Google. Looks at user experience as like the #1 factor for SEO.
Fabulous. Liz has said that using Burt's Bees as an example, I'm looking for lip balm among its product lines. How is that optimized? Would that be heading 1, heading 2, etc.?
Yeah. So if it's lip balm, it's a product page, right? So your product page, your H1 would be the name of the product. So if it's Burt's Bees lip balm, if that's the name of the product, that would be your H1. Then your H2 could be like, maybe a specific benefit to lip balm, using lip balm. Why do you want to buy this lip balm? Why are we better? Why is this lip balm better than any other lip balm, right? And so that's how you would structure your H1s and your H2s. And if it's a product, your H1 should always be the product name. And you should have the product name in your title, your meta, your URL, and your H1 for sure. Like those 4 have to happen in order to rank for that product name.
Great. An anonymous attendee said or asked, is the SEO strategy for other search engines similar to that for Google? Are there major differences that you're aware of?
All of the ones in the United States are very similar to Google. Yes, if you optimize for Google, the United States search engines, all like Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo, all of those they'll fall in line, right? So it's not 100% the same, but Google is going to be 80+% of your traffic. So I would focus on that first. But if you're looking at like Yandex or these other ones, like there's some in Russia, there's some in APAC that are different. They, for the most part, yes, but they the ones in APAC, they heavily favor links, whether they're legit or not, like whether they're authentic links coming from a news article or a government website. Like Google cares about that. In China, they don't care as much about that, right? So but they have different strategies for their e-commerce where they use WeChat a lot more than websites too. So for the most part, search engines globally do look at sort of the same fundamental principles. But I would optimize for Google because globally, that's probably where you're going to, unless you're in China or Russia, Google is going to be what dominates your traffic.
Great. Next one, McKenna asked, how do you use schema.org or even GMyBusiness if you don't have a brick and mortar business?
Okay, that's a great question. Go ask ChatGPT because it will actually code it for you. So you can go and you can use schema on a blog post. You can use it on a landing page. You can use it on a product page. Schema has thousands of tags. So you can go to schema.org and you can do a search for a product tag and you can copy it and try to paste it in your code and figure it out. But if you go to ChatGPT and say, here's my product page, I want it marked up with schema, do it for me. You copy and paste the content for your product page, put it into ChatGPT, and it will spit out the code that you copy and paste right back in, and it's done like that.
Fabulous. Next one from Cheryl Archer. My company is no longer brick and mortar, and we operate virtually without a physical space. We have an issue that Google still lists our old address, and when we remove it, it impacts our search metrics. How do you handle that?
There's probably a couple follow-up questions that I'd want to know, but if Google is not making you remove it, you can switch it to a non-brick and mortar and it'll still show up locally. So within Google My Business, go into Google My Business and there's an option that says, are you a physical location or not? And just say, no, I'm not. You are going to see traffic drop because local is just where it's at. Unfortunately, you will see traffic drop, but the way you make that up is you write more blog posts, you write more articles, you try to do more SEO, you optimize your website better. Eventually, you'll take over the traffic you were getting locally, but there's not really a way around the benefit of a local mom and pop shop. They're just great. Like if you're local and they can see where you're at on your phone, that's just the best of the best, the highest conversion, highest click-through, highest searches.
Great. We still have quite a few questions. We'll keep moving. We got about 5 minutes left. Ruth wants to know, are hashtags still important?
On social media, on certain social media, yes, not on websites. Hashtags don't do anything on websites. It changes on social media. On LinkedIn, you can do like 5 hashtags. If you do more than that, it starts to hurt you. On Instagram, you can do 20 or more and you're just fine. On TikTok, like 3 is all you need. So each individual social media account uses it. And the way that it uses it is as a category. So you want to don't use like FYP, like find me on your page, or like whatever FYP stands for. I can't even remember what it stands for, but don't use like Justin Bieber because it has high search volume. Like use stuff that if people are like, for example, if we're going over keyword research and I use the hashtag SEO keyword research, somebody is looking into someone's looking at my post on TikTok and they're like, I need to learn more about this. They click on that hashtag to go see other videos about it. So what happens is in the algorithm, Google sees that I brought them in and I am keeping them here. So for every video that they watch after that, I'm getting credit for that. That video that brought them is going to rank higher because of that. So you do need hashtags, not on your website. You do need them on social media, but do a quick Google search to find out like how many you should use and then be strategic about them as well.
Great. Okay. There are still quite a few questions. What we'll do, and I'm sorry, we're not going to have time to get to everything today. What we'll do is I'll talk with Eli. We'll see if we can't answer some of them in the follow-up email and do our best to be able to get you back some information. So Eli, would you mind go ahead down to the next slide for me?
Yep.
All right, so next steps. We will be sending out a post-webinar email. Look for it probably tomorrow. I need to get the finish processing the video and then get it posted to YouTube. That takes me about a day. We will link to this webinar video and you'll be able to go back and watch it again. Eli has created a fabulous resource handout that we will also be attaching to that email with a lot of the information and links that he talked about today. There's going to be a part 2 of this webinar, which will focus on really SEO for businesses that are interested in international or cross-border expansion. So if that's something that you've thought about, look for that. That's going to be on Tuesday, December 12th at 11 a.m. And we'll send a link for the registration for that as well. I'm also going to ask you to take just a very brief moment to fill out a survey that tells us how today's session was and what we can do better. The other thing is that if you're interested in working more with us and working with folks like Eli, there is a free service that we offer. We are funded by the Northern California SBDC to do this sort of technical advising. And if you're interested in that, I'll put a link into the chat right now. It's a Google form. Go there and just simply fill that out, and then we'll follow up with you and we'll explain more about the services that we offer to help businesses with search engine optimization, analytics, social media, lead funnels, cross-border e-commerce, or international business in a number of areas. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you, Eli. This has been phenomenal. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today, for the engagement, all the questions, and we look forward to working with you again.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. And we'll just let you sit and bask in the emojis that are coming up, the claps and the hearts and everything else.
Nice. I love it.
You're a great presenter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. That's
awesome.
lovely. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.